started racing bicycles back in 1954 in Japan. I got serious about 56 when I bought the Fuji Feather. Ran a few races at Korakuen Stadium down at Kawasaki, also Japan, and Kyoto and other tracks, and Tokurizara. Used to love 10,000 meter races. We didn't team. I did one team pursuit race. I guess it was in Kawasaki around Sakuraicho, and ran with Bill Mahoney, a guy out of New Jersey, and we were with Tojio Yano was our trainer at that time, and he was a 1935 Japan champion. He was a professor and a doctor at University of Tokyo, but also got a chance to race with some famous people and train with them. And Cecil Hersey, who used to run New York and St. Louis during the 30s and 20s, and Bill Holliday, and he's quite famous in the Madison Square Garden area back in the old days. And there were a few other ones. I can't remember all their names, but there were some famous old cyclists that used to run on wooden tracks. And as I gradually developed, I came back to the States in '58, and I kept trying to keep at that time I lived in San Rafael. I kept trying to stay in shape, but cycling in those days in the States was just not an in thing, and traffic didn't have any mercy for you. And I rode from Novato to San Rafael a couple of times on Highway 101, which would be hard today, but back in those days I could do it. So I used to ride from Novato, California to San Rafael, where I went to high school. And as years went by, I moved to Panama City, and I just about gave up cycling. I used to try to train every now and then, but that's it. All I had was my track bike, and of course there's no brakes or no gears or anything, and I never did care for road racing that much, more like track racing, sprinting, And as time grew on, I ended up going to Jackson in '61 or in that area at time, and I ended up getting in business of a bicycle shop, and there I started training again. I did rollers, and I did some other stuff, did some long runs with it. I used to run down Highway 49 to Gulfport, Mississippi, do that in a half a day, and that's 190 miles. One trip I went to Panama City, Florida with that bike and made Pensacola in one day from Jackson. That's going from Jackson, Mississippi to Pensacola, where I stayed in a hotel down there. And next morning I ran another 100 miles over to Panama City. Parents were leaving for Brazil. Dad was going to be an Air Force attaché down there, and so they were leaving Tyndall. So I cycled back and came back, and I was going to enter the Pan Am Games. I thought, well, hell, I just might need to make an effort at it since I felt in good shape and I was making good time on the road. So, but I found out later when I was taking the entry form, I had raced professionally, and at that time I knew I'd be disqualified if they contact International Cycling. So that ended my cycling career. So, but I never gave up on it entirely. After I got Merchant Marine, I had one bike at that time. I had a Raleigh Grand Sports, camping equipped, complete, and it got stolen. And so years passed, and in the '70s I got back into cycling, and I built in a Legano, all camping equipped. Still had my old Brooks saddle that I kept. I always kept my saddle with me because they were hard to break in Brooks saddles, so I always had it with me. But that's it up above, that Legano. That was at Point Richmond, California. I got to running out on San Pablo Dam Road and running around the reservoir out there in the equivalent of about 25 miles. And as time went on, I gave it up again. and never went back to racing or doing anything serious. But I contributed to my health today, and thank God I did ride as much as I did in those days. Love cycling though, always did, always will, I guess. Guys, take care. Have a good ride. Bye.